You are watching Travel World Online.
Out of which current international capacity is 20 million, and the rest about 23 million is
out of the 100.
yes.
And when you do international is a big player. We are going to have 250 narrow-body aircraft in the next 5-7 years operating within the 5-7 hour. And you will have a lot of wide-body coming. So there will be short, medium, and long haul. Is there an allocation that you have planned, like because most of the international will be T3? Are you going to make sure that the international is at other terminals as well?
Currently, international is likely to be at T3. So, in fact, while we are running out of international capacity, we are looking at various ways to increase international capacity. And the plan is to increase that by 40 to 50% in the next 6 months, 1 year time. There are 1 or 2 options that we are considering. So, we have consultants who are working on that to give the best option. Because in terms of the operational convenience as well as passenger processing, passenger convenience, and also the airside infrastructure matching with the terminal infrastructure. So based on that, pretty soon we will be finalizing at least the 40 to 50% increase in international capacity. As far as short haul, long haul, and medium haul are concerned, I think they are complementary to each other, so you can't choose one from the other.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, long haul, it needs to be fed in with short haul and medium haul. And that is something that we have seen in the last few years is still growing. I mean, just to share with you, for example, in Delhi, for all the international flights, we have got close to about 20% of connecting passengers, whether it is D2I or breakthrough. And some of these segments are really growing. So we are looking at a balanced kind of approach where we basically work on the slot banks and how we actually get those slot banks to operate is how we are looking at different terminal capacities and different sizes of
Maybe later I will ask because I think the international is going to be a big player here. Depending on when we look at how the airline networks are developed, that's going to be a very, very key area, more international if you are more than domestic.
Why is this really echoing?
Is it okay now?
Better.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying at your airport, particularly as we see, there's going to be a lot of international and domestic, whether short, medium, international or very long haul. So the profile going forward will be more tilted towards international and domestic is my mind. And you are obviously prepared.
So, are you saying that we are going to take any focus more on
No, I think because the demand is going to be more for international capacity.
as I said, it's complementary. I mean, India is possibly going to be a very different kind of a different kind of a market as compared to most of the other markets. Possibly only in the comparable markets would be China and USA, where there is a sizable domestic as well as international demand. And that is something that we are seeing. So, for example, right now with better and better international connectivity, we can see the feeds from D to I actually growing faster because there are a lot of Indian passengers who typically now go to North America or some of the other locations to other international hubs. So we have seen some of them shifting because of better and better connectivity. So I think there will always be a balance because even when I'm talking about that we are increasing the international capacity because possibly the headroom right now is 10%, I want to take it to 40%. So that aspirations of all the Indian players as well as international aviation players actually are met. And that gives us another 30-40% headroom even in domestic. So both of them have to complement each other.
In terms of not the 100 million capacity that you have now, eventually you will have about 130 or 40 million capacity. are we looking at some dedicated exclusive judgments by Indigo? Because I think we have reached the stage, given the size and scale, that wherever possible, dedicated terminals for both of them may be required. Is there a plan? I heard there's a plan. Are we looking at it?
We are not close to any of the options. In fact, while we are currently operationalizing Terminal 1 and taking our capacity up by 50%, we have already started our next master plan. Well, earlier it was scheduled to be in 2026, but looking at the kind of dynamics that change and the changes in dynamics that has happened over the last 5 to 6 years, we have reported. So there we are getting inputs from all the airlines, and we are actually planning in a manner which is best for the passenger. Now, it could be dedicated terminal by airlines, it could be dedicated terminal for the for international separately and domestic separately. So whatever it works out in terms of all the options, we are looking at that.
I'm sure you would have already factored that in your next master plan that you're building. Because post-COVID, the privatization is everywhere. I genuinely feel that in the industry broadly is not aware of what will be the sharing structure of Air India and Indigo going forward in 5 to 7 years. So we have accommodated this changing dynamics of the master plan, both domestic and international.
Yes, because what we have insisted on is that our master planners actually collaborate very closely with both the airlines, because these are combined, possibly have domestic market share of close to about 85 to 90%. And good thing about Delhi airport is that international traffic percentage handled by Indian players is already in excess of 50%. Although there are 65 other airlines, international airlines also, still Indian airlines have started gaining in terms of share. So we have looked at the fleet acquisition plans that the two airlines have. We also get updates from them as to what are the digital timelines.
Okay.
And that is something we are going to build into our master planning exercise.
The reason I said that is because if the Air India's order book is 470, I always think it's 840. Every 6 months the order book changes, the options get converted. And even in Indigo's case, the likelihood of introducing some aircraft earlier and fast tracking, narrow body more, it's too dynamic depending upon the route that's likely to happen. I want to now talk about the airside infrastructure. What is the current airside infrastructure? What we can expect in the future?
Currently, we have got about 1,500 slots in the day. And with the current increase in airside infrastructure, where we have started operating the 4th runway, even the category compliance of one side will happen by mid-July, we have already notified it. So with 4 fully operational runways, Eastern Cross Taxiway, which includes the efficiency of the airfield, we are working with an international consultant along with airport authority to optimize firstly this 4-runway operation. After that, there are 2 other steps that we need to take. One is dependent parallel approach, and then final the stage is independent parallel approach. So we are working closely, and we expect that with both these being operational, which may take 2 to 3 years, there is an upside of at least 500 to 700 slots per day. So going now to more than 2,000 slots per
We
day.
hear about 78 in the summer cycle.
Yes. Right now, our peak is approximately 84 minutes per hour.
84.
Yes.
And how do you see them moving forward?
That can go up to about 110 in the final stage.
You talked about slide and you talked about the optimization. With 4 runway, the maximum SI that you can deliver is about 110, or it can go beyond. Is there a further room for optimization?
There is always a room for optimization because the new technology is coming in, and besides that, gauging of aircraft. just to share with you, 110 is a number derived from a particular packs per ATM and number of ATMs. Now, till 2 years back or before COVID, even domestic packs per ATM used to be 145, even with 85% capacity utilization. It is already up to 160. So there is a 10% upside because of raising as well as higher capacity. Similarly, in international, it used to be about 170. Now it is already up to. In fact, in international, we have seen even in medium haul, lot of wide body operations being there. Almost 50% of our international operations are wide body. There was only 33% of operations are not. So that is something that is increasing the passenger throughput. And with all this implementation of independent terminal approach, there is an upside rate. Currently, I have got capacity of close to about, say, 85 million passengers with 15-22 fully operational slots. So there is an upside of another 50% without any other technological change. So that goes to about 120-125. With further upgrading, it can go to 130 years.
This for the information of everyone, the domestic narrow body profile is more or less moving to a 232-seater and 321s. Even airlines like outside is about 197-seater to some 200. So the densities of the aircraft are moving more different in terms of profile than before. It's more 321s and 222 seats. With these 737s with 200 seats. So that's going to help in terms of accommodating more passengers. The third question on the infrastructure is the excess infrastructure. Excess infrastructure today, you have a very, very dense, so there is a lot of capacity that has come. Earlier we used to think that even though the terminal airside capacity in Delhi would be whatever is being planned, the excess infrastructure will be a challenge. And we have worked with the Delhi government to see are there any ports in the river which can be opened up at that point. Like we saw only two small approaches which could be open. How is the excess infrastructure going to accommodate the kind of growth which you're talking?
This is something which we continuously keep on working, because it is not something that can happen overnight. So in fact, we engage with Delhi government, not only Delhi government, but with Haryana government, because Gurgaon is engaged with Delhi government. So their national, that is central government bodies like CPWD, NHAI, as well as the government PWD. So we continuously keep on working. In fact, currently, for example, with GMBA, we are already working with a consultant to do a master plan as to how Gurgaon to airport connectivity can improve. Similarly, when we have worked with central government at the time of development of Dwarka Expressway, Southern Access Road is basically an example of that. So, directly from the airport access to Dwarka Expressway, which is possibly one of the best expressways and is likely to become get connected to the new ring road for Delhi. So that gives access to many of the areas, especially in Dwarka as well as parts of Gurgaon. Even with Delhi government, we have been working on a few projects. One of which is, say, for example, connecting from Luden's Delhi directly to the airport. Then we are also working with different government bodies. So, for example, RRTS station is going to come at Metro City. Phase 4 metro is already planned at Metro City. Metro connectivity from airport to Gurgaon is already on the plan. Even from road connectivity point of view, one of the bottlenecks that we have foreseen is basically on the NSG junction, going from Terminal 3 to Terminal 1, because Terminal 1 capacity is going to go up. So how do we have a great separated access over there so that there is a free flow of traffic going on the national highway? And good thing is that we have started getting results of that. So, for example, among the passengers, close to about 50% of our passengers, which possibly will be the highest in India, they are using metros to come there. So we are also looking at how to make that travel still more convenient. We already have got 2 check-in facilities at Videh railway station as well as Shivaji metro station. We are looking at starting it at Dwarka. We are also in talks with the MRC that where all we can actually put up this check-in facility because that makes metro travel for the passengers active.
And do you see the attractions in that at this Shivaji station in New Delhi in terms of as you go by and increase the utilization?
Yes, we have seen attraction, and good thing is that airlines are quite positive about it. A few days back, 2 days back, in fact, Air India started an international check-in at New Delhi metro station as well as Shivaji metro station. So once passengers come to know about the convenience of it, and that is something that we are facing a little bit of a challenge because there are a lot of people coming by train at the railway station. And we have seen only about 10-15% or less than 10% of them actually using the metro checking facility.
They still take
They still come out, take a taxi, put all their luggage over there, take all the way to airport, which takes them possibly 1 hour. Instead, actually going to the check-in counter at the railway station, metro station, checking in over there and take exactly 14 minutes to come in the metro to the station. So we are trying to drive awareness and we are sure that it is going to further pick up from 15% the target to go to 25%, which also reduces the overall carbon footprint.
The reason I asked is that in some recent discussions we had, if the excess infrastructure gets told, it has a direct correlation with the dwell times in the non-aero retail side. There's too much pressure reaching another terminal, and then you have more time to get back from the and my question is from that perspective.
Just to add to this, another thing that we are doing, we are in the process, and I will talk more about it later in terms of implementation of local airport management or APOC, where we are also monitoring the city side traffic. So if there are city side congestions, so we get an advance information on that. And that way we can actually do the corrective measures, or we can take it up with the traffic police, or we can do something to make sure that this particular issue is sort of,
And the second question is possibly the airport operators have not dealt so much to now is you have a resurgent airline system. Air India Group, 3 to 17, maybe doubling up or close to doubling up. Indigo offering about 367, about 400 that they're looking at dealing with airports, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is transfer capabilities, whether it is tariffs. I have never seen people in airlines calling and wanting to know how this tariff system is, what goes behind its office in our district, and infrastructure development. Can I get more quality of transport traffic? There is a new system emerging, which I don't think airport operators have dealt with so effectively, because they never got approached in such a manner. Now, how is DIAL, you're a principal player in their plans, how is DIAL making the research airline system?
As I told you earlier that we are constantly in touch with the airlines. In fact, there was the overall study in terms of how the hub formation is going to happen, because with so many wide bodies coming in, obviously most of both the Indian operators want to have more and more hub operations. So based on that, there are certain rules that are there with the airport operators. There are certain things which airlines need to do. There are certain help that we need from different government agencies. So we have worked on that. And in fact, we had anticipated some of this. So that is why at the time of current expansion of phase 3A, Our international to international transfer area we have developed. We already have excess capacity in domestic to international transfer at T3. Then next question is that how does the transfer between Terminal 1 to Terminal 3 happen? So we have worked out on certain modalities with government authorities in terms of baggage transfer on that air side. Currently, passenger transfer is happening by bus from the city side. So that infrastructure we are improving by making even 20 lounges we are looking at putting on the two sides of the terminal. While we are in the process of going for a bid for APM, but it will take some time in terms of construction because that is something which will be asked for the size of airport that we are working for. Other than that, we also understand from the airlines the different requirements. So, for example, for a transfer traffic, you need a terminal hotel. So, we are in the process of building a terminal hotel just outside Terminal 3. We are also looking at whether we can do similar thing in Terminal 1, which is adjoining Terminal 3, where there is a hotel inside, but even just immediately outside near the car park, we are actually building a park. So, similarly, in terms of lounge, in T3 we also have got one of the biggest lounges in Asia with more than 500 covers. That has been appreciated and that is something which is being used by all the airlines. So we are constantly trying to make sure that whatever is the requirement of the transfer traffic, because that is likely to increase further from 20%, it will go to 10% over a period of time, depending on how many slot plans we are able to work out with each other.
I would ask you yesterday, earlier to us, because Delhi and Bombay has high revenue share, their ability to invest in transfer, quality of transfer infrastructure may be limited. So we have to think out of the box in terms of how do we incentivize. And it's an era issue or the government looking at. But there should be an incentive framework to them. Because the tariffs are so high, the revenue shares are high, that may compromise in many ways the possibilities of hub development and airports. And that's our discussion yesterday. Would you just throw some light on that?
Yes. So, we have done the commercial evaluation of the APM, that how do we actually bring that in. We are going for an international rate and we expect that there will be some sort of a gap funding that will be required, because ideally if they get it up to and on a DBOT model, in that case in terms of tariff burden it would be comparatively less. And that is one of the reasons why possibly we need to do it on the city side and on the air side, because then some of the passengers traveling inside the larger ecosystem will pay for it when the passenger actually travels free of cost. So that will go overall subsidize. So that is one unique thing that we have thought of. Secondly, being on a concession, then international, typically the expectations on returns are comparatively lower and it's likely long-term infrastructure. So that is second thing that we are working. After that, we will have to go to government for some sort of a one-time credit support, whether it is Videh or it is any other way that there can be a one-time credit support to build this infrastructure. Because finally, the infrastructure belongs to airport authority. Yes, we are only operators for the next 2066. So we have made that representation, but we will come to it once we understand that what is the overall numbers.
I must say that you will see soon some work from our company is the hub development. I think the fiscal incentives for airport operators, given that you have high revenue share and if you have a significant capex, it will have an impact on the passenger trajectory of inflation. It may reduce competitiveness. Or even for the airline to invest so much into the non-common activity. I think there must be an out-of-the-box thinking in terms of maybe creating $500 million fund which incentivizes the airlines. because the government is wanting them up to be built. And perhaps it incentivizes the operators in some way that the larger objectives are met. And the passenger is not constrained so much. Because otherwise, the building block stage only we will be impacted. This is just not for airports, but also for even the airlines itself. Right? Can they be incentivized to invest in long-haul capability to the level the government wants? And also the airport operators, as you said, there is a capex in the hospital one time media, that those are incentivized in a manner, then the passenger impact is less, and we can develop the hub ambitions much more. I think as a company, we may be coming out with this maybe a white paper or research paper to see that how do you actually build hubs. Somebody at the federal and the central government level must put in some money, which is maybe in an institutional framework that is required. But without that, I think we will have a challenge in terms of what we are trying to achieve.
See, we have already done a lot of study how to build a hub. And what clearly comes out is how is built by airports. The other two players, that is the airport as well as the government machinery, can play an enabling role. So from airport point of view, whether it is the transport product, so that we got enough I2I, D2I facility, we have got possibly long baggage storage facility because that baggage transfer, that is something that gets available, whether you have got enough tankers or tanks so that the product of the airlines actually improves. So those are some of the things that we need to do. Obviously, that means there is a lot of investment that needs to be done from the airport sector. From the government machinery, we basically are working on various ways to improve the passenger journey. Now, whether it is in terms of increasing, possibly trying out with one-stop security solution, the way it has been tried out in Shenzhen. So, in fact, the ACI had come and made a presentation and they had a positive response from that. So, we are working closely with all government bodies to ensure that some of those processes are eased out. Airlines, it's a good opportunity after a long time that there are two strong airlines who have got ability to invest and willingness to actually drive international traffic, especially long. So possibly with expansion of the airports across the country and capacity coming into airlines, this is the right time where all of us are focusing if we are able to get some of the growing business for this international operation. It's going to benefit the whole ecosystem.
And it's my view, maybe, our view that at some point of time, the federal and state governments and central government must create some fund to ensure that the initial incubation period for building a multi-hub system in India is incentivized with the passenger impact is necessary to take indirect advantage of what a hub is. Quickly on security integration. It's improved significantly. Now with the traffic almost doubling up in the next 5-7 years, how are you working both with immigration and security to streamline? We talked about one security aspect. Anything else that's going on?
Yes, there are a lot of things happening. So, in fact, let me talk about firstly a holistic system. So, when I talked about APOC, APOC is something which is a predictive system as well as monitors at real time. So, we are in the process of actually putting up an AI engine which will take data from the past and will predict what is planned for the day. So, depending on what is the turnout profile of passengers, we actually have got hourly plan that we have started building it, which we share with all the people who are into passenger processes, whether it is airlines, whether it is immigration, whether it is customs or security, so that they can have flexible management. One of the examples of that is that in international departure, we already have got a swing operation in security and immigration. So in the night, 8 o'clock, when the peak load of the international departure kicks in, this place, there are 4 machines which actually get converted into international side, and that actually eases the pressure. Second thing is that we are using newer technologies. So, for example, we have just started on immigration. Especially arriving passengers, we study the profile. So there are people who are coming with e-visa and they are first time visitors. So maximum time being taken for immigration officials to process them or the take their permit. So in the pier, we worked with immigration officials and they did a POC of a biometric machine. So in the pier, we have put additional biometric machines supervised by immigration officials. There, the passenger coming for the first time can give his biometric, take a particular check, go to any immigration counter. So that way, this processing is two-step processing. It eases pressure on the immigration agent. Other than that, in terms of number of immigration counters, as well as many of counters, we are providing whatever is required. We are getting a lot of support from government machinery in terms of actually getting them back. So in fact, what we have seen is that in terms of our average waiting time in security has gone down dramatically. In fact, it is 10 to 12 minutes maximum. Immigration also in arrival, it is almost like instantaneous. It doesn't take more than 5-7 minutes. In departure, in the peak hour also, it doesn't go beyond 15 to 20 minutes.
The other reason which I want the President want to ask you is the CISF, the immigration aware of the growth profile, so the staffing requirements can be adequate. At some point of time, without naming, they were not aware of the kind of growth the sector had. I'm talking about the law. And once they heard about the growth, obviously the staffing requirement can't be built overnight. Do you think that they are aware that the kind of growth that is happening at Delhi airport and staffing requirements are ahead of that demand?
Yes. In fact, as part of master planning exercise, we also touch base with all the immigration and customs, CISA. We also make presentations with them. We share with them about the forecast, like deadlines, and hence how we are looking at the growth. And that is something because they also need to plan well in advance, because any immigration officer to be effective, possibly you need leave for them to be recruited, for them to be trained, for them to be deployed. So that is something the government is very proactive in.
Now, the profile of traffic from India, particularly internationals, will change with Indian carriers as we deploy more regional, international, long haul. You will bring some of the traffic back from hubs as is the plan. Is there a plan for Delhi Airport, and what does it mean in terms of duty-free offerings, food and beverage offerings, retail offerings? Is there anything that is going to change because of this changing dynamics of the traffic profile?
See, from Delhi airport point of view, we have been doing the passenger profiling study for the day. In fact, that about last 15 years later, as to how the profile is changing. And we have found these interesting patterns. That is one of the reasons you will find that in terms of the brands which are applicable, we always keep on upgrading. In fact, 5 years back, we were completely upgrading after doing a retail study. So this is something which is a continuous process. Some of the interesting trends that we have seen, especially because of the profile of passengers being abroad, close to about 25 to 30% of the people of going abroad are Asians. And typically they look for a lot of souvenirs, a lot of Indian sweets, Indian food to be carried back. And this is the possibly last stop from them where they buy it. So we have seen a lot of that demand coming up. Further that we have put up some of those kind of outlets where you can pick up the last minute purchase. Then they also want familiarity with the brands that they see abroad. So that is where we are looking at some of the international brands to be present where they are familiar and feel comfortable, especially in defending. and also some newly grown Indian brands which people want to experience. Maybe they didn't have opportunity when they are staying here, so airport is the last destination. So this is the current set that we have seen. What we expect that with more hubbing happening, possibly dwell time is going to increase, so fine dining is likely to be order of the day that is going to go up. So we are looking at all those opportunities that how do we ensure the passengers.
I have a few more questions, but quickly ask for answers because the time is up. Aerocity is turning into a lifestyle destination. A lot of developments that are happening around. Do you see that playing a part, not in the near and medium term, to attract more transport traffic? People come around for a day, stop over here, stay at the Aerocity, maybe travel around, maybe come back and take a flight. Do you see Aerocity and the quality of infrastructure, both entertainment and the retail offerings, hotels, going to play an important role in attracting more transport traffic?
Yes, we are already seeing that. In fact, if you look at Aerocity, the first round we have used over 4,000 rooms in Aerocity hotels. There is 90% occupancy most of the times. So we are upgrading in the stay facility. We already have got close to 1.8 million square feet of office and retail space which is used by the stakeholders of the airports. So that is something that the demand is going up. So we already have got a master plan done, and we see Aerocity is a 30 million square feet commercial hub, which is basically supporting the airport in terms of a lot of people, especially if you look at it from international destinations, say for example Singapore. Somebody can fly in 5.5 hours, stay at the airport, Aerocity, have a day, go back in the evening. So it's almost like a day trip by which we can accomplish the work. And we have been seeing that trend growing. And the whole city is getting designed as per international standards, including multimodal connectivity.
And I was coming to that because people come from Gurgaon in the morning, people offices, you enter it's easy.
So Gurgaon is going to be connected by metro already.
Right.
You already have got Dwarka Expressway which takes you to Gurgaon. For Delhi, there are already two metros, one going towards going to the Videh railway station. There is another metro of phase 4 which is going to come in. RRTS is going to come in. So in terms of reaching out and even people staying here, going out,
we were in the infra conference together with the rest of viewers there. We made an interesting point about competing and collaborating. Very quickly because we are out of time. Talk us about the collaboration. Competing, we do. Talk us about the collaboration.
There are a lot of issues on which we collaborate. Say, for example, in terms of the processing requirements and how can we actually make it more efficient, that type of collaboration is whether it is common security for international information with the different beings at that time, or whether it is connectivity between Jaipuriar and the airport. These are definitely points of collaboration. Even in terms of airspace design, because Noida airport airspace also has to work with all the ATCR airspace design. These are points of collaboration that we are working.
In terms of passenger experience, we're doing a lot on the tech side to make sure the passenger experience is elevated. Now, one is that, and very quickly I wanted to ask, but I find a human touch at Indian airports. Once a passenger enters, there are very different stakeholders, and the passenger goes through a funnel where the service can go up or down in different levels. Is there a future plan where the tech is going to have some human touch? With people, you can have a more personalized experience, particularly as you move from stressful security and immigration to duty free. You have some human touch where you can interface, ease them up.
Yes, I don't think that you can do away with human touch. I genuinely feel that human touch cannot be replaced by technology. And technology can be an enabler in terms of process efficiency. Just giving you a simple example. We monitor our social media and possibly worldwide, we are the fastest in terms of first response time. In Delhi airport, regularly we have achieved 8 minutes, and the next person used to be Frankfurt airport. There are partners in this people. So what we have started lately is that how do I reach out to the passenger? Because if he has gone to the social media and talked about something, and if I can respond in 8 minutes, most likely the person is still available. So there are many cases where our people have reached out to the passenger, met him on ground, and actually make sure that his complaint or whatever he is talking about is resolved. That makes a wow kind of experience. So that is something that we have given to our people, 10% target. 10% of the passengers that are complaining they have to be met on ground on that spot.
So which means that more escalation or customer service staff augmentation is happening.
The terminal operations people, because we have increased the number of terminal operations people. So typically this is getting monitored from our LCC, the Videh 96, and then they convey the thing to terminal operations there to reach out to the passenger to make sure.
The last question is this difference in back in Noida and Delhi. It's not going to be balanced. Do you see the government of Delhi unable to bring parity? Otherwise, it may be a huge disruption.
We have already made representations alone as well as jointly with airlines for production because already there are 23 states where they use this. Because this has got a cost implication on the airlines. So they have been assurances, but I'm sincerely hoping that at the time of when the airports become operational, the differences are brought down.
Because the challenge would be if it is done too late, and there may be already places of more network out there.
Only a bad difference is not going to make a passenger.
No, I agree.
Yes, one. Secondly, in terms of there are other cost infrastructures also. Because in a new airport, typically the infrastructures.
Yes.
So that is something that has to be balanced. How do we are working with the government to reduce this?
Otherwise, it will be about 70% of the operating cost difference in terms of power block if the battery is safe. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please see more on
You are watching Travel World Online.